Are you searching for an empowering devotional to help you walk into your destiny? Then Brenda Sawyer's book, Encouraging Words for the Mind, Spirit, and Soul, is the publication for you. This book is a collection of devotionals and is designed to encourage and inspire your daily walk with Christ. To get your copy, go to Amazon.com. It is also available in a Spanish edition, paperback, audio, Kindle, and a CD edition. To contact Brenda Sawyer, go to brendasawyer084@gmail.com or give her a call at 215-694-9170 and get inspired.
So much for tuning in to another episode of my new show. I'm so excited to be starting this show. It's called What's the 411 for Authors? And the reason why I created this show is because so many times I see a lot of authors in different Facebook authors groups asking each other questions. And I wanted to just have and create a show that actually brings professionals in the literary field so that you all have an opportunity to ask them just those hard questions that maybe you have not had an opportunity to ask them. And so I'm very excited for our guest today, Regina Patterson. She is the principal / owner of RRP Marketing, and she is actually the former senior marketing manager at HarperCollins Christian Publishing. So now what makes this show so great is that, like I said before, you actually have an opportunity to ask Regina questions. So now don't be shy, because that's why I have this show, so that you can ask her those tough questions that you just don't have the opportunity to ask. One of the cool things about this show is that you're able to actually call in. So I know if you tuned into my shows before, I had this woman, actually, she logged in and she was, her face was seen on the screen, and she was like, oh, I was like, oh, you didn't know you was going to be seen? But this time you're actually able to call in on your phone without being seen at all. So go ahead and try out that telephone number that's in the description box, as well as put in that member ID, and you do not have to put in a participant ID. If you're still too shy and you like, I don't want nobody to hear my voice, just go ahead and type in your question in the comment field, and I will relay those questions to Regina. Another thing about this show is that we need you to share this video now so that more people will know who Regina is, know how they could possibly benefit from using her services at RRP Marketing, as well as just learn more about this show so that they can get those tips in order to be the best author possible. So Regina, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. You are welcome. So now, Regina, can you just let our viewers just know a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so I am Regina Patterson. As Martinique said, I am the principal and founder of RRP Marketing. And actually, I have a group here on Facebook that's called Melanin and Marketing also. And over really, Martinique and I, we talk about this, I majored in marketing. I have the MBA in strategic management. And so I'm one of the few who actually majored in something and then actually went into that field and continued in that field, until actually launching my own company. And then I launched the company in something that's in my field, which is also, marketing. So, I have been working in the marketing field since late 2003. And so I've worked for very, very large brands, launched a lot of products with companies such as Microsoft. I've worked with HarperCollins Christian Publishing, which is a subsidiary of HarperCollins, one of the top 5 publishing houses that are out there. And I also have retail, B2B, just a lot of experience that I bring to the table. And really, it's my goal to help organizations, especially small businesses, in mid-sized businesses and nonprofits create sustainable businesses through um, smart marketing decisions. So that's really what I do.
Definitely, definitely. So now, like I said, guys, if you're tuning into the show, make sure you go ahead and share this video now. Also, if you're in the virtual house, just say hello to us. We won't bite you. We can't bite you from here. So, say hello to us as well. And just be prepared to call in your questions or type in your question. So let's go ahead and get started because I just want to let people know how I even came up with this topic. I don't have an agent, so how would I market my books? And I just want to give a shout out to Jadonna Mathis and Jocelyn who are watching right now. Make sure you go ahead and share this video now for us. That would be great. So I posed a question on my page, and the question was, authors, is it all about selling a lot of books and getting a deal with a major publishing company? Now, I had 99 comments from that one post, and I had also individuals who were authors also commenting on there as well. And many authors were saying, it's just for the love of writing and things like that. Now, me, just as a host and producer of shows for authors, I always just thought it was all about selling books for you guys. And that was it. That's how you mark your success, by the number of books that you sold. Some of you guys was just like, I just want to get my story out there. I just want people to learn about, these different ideas that I had and things like that. So that was kind of refreshing to hear that it's not all about getting with a major publishing company. But then, my friend Regina, she came on this post and I was just asking her questions because she said, well, one of the things you should do is get an agent. And I was like, but what if you can't afford an agent? What do those authors do? And so I'm telling you, I didn't get a chance to do this, y'all. But in the comment field, I'm going to link what that post was, and then so you can see her response thoroughly. So don't be upset if we don't get everything answered in this one episode, because Regina has graciously said that she will come on the show once a month so we can thoroughly go through her responses, because I was like, girl, this is some good stuff. And I was just like, I just want authors to know about this stuff. And you can just use it as you please, but at least you have somebody here that is able to answer those questions for you. So the first question is for you, Regina, is what did your job actually entail as the senior marketing manager at a major publishing company?
Yeah, so my role as a senior marketing manager, so I would say that, it depends on the organization, but our roles actually consist of multiple things. Mine specifically was a lot of what everyone attempts to do here, as a small business. I did social media. I was responsible for all digital marketing for the brands that I represented. And with that was Facebook, that was Instagram, email campaigns, email strategies that went along with them, our websites, multiple websites, and then also working with authors to help them understand how to leverage their digital marketing in order to bring attention to their books. Understanding which, let me go back a little bit. So one of the things with us is that what you may not know is that pretty much every author also has their own platform. If they don't have one, then they develop one. And so that may mean that we're also helping them understand how to manage their platforms, how to create a good website, where your call to actions need to be. We may go through and look at it and assess it to say, okay, this works or this doesn't work, or maybe we need to create it ourselves. We may help you figure out how to host it. And so that's what we did a lot with authors, also photography, just a lot of different things to help elevate the books. And then a big thing with my role was balancing the authors that we had. So for example, say HarperCollins Christian had, I don't know, they have tons of authors, right? But then you have, a set that releases books pretty much all around the same time in the same season. So how might I manage these 10 authors right now and try to give each of these authors some attention through our digital platforms? And so as we were talking about like a publishing house, that's one thing that the publishing house is trying to determine. How do we manage each of these authors, because we have 10, it's not like you just going out and promoting like one book multiple times, but then it becomes, how do we create that strategy? And then how do we also bring that to actually work with our brand as well? And outside of that, we would look at other trends. So I started talking about storytelling. How do we tell the stories behind our authors? The stories behind their books, because it's not just, hey, we have a book, but it's, hey, here's the book and here's what it means to you. And a lot of people miss that here's what it means to you and tend to focus just on, hey, here's my story. I wrote something, and this is what it looks like, and so that was my job to say, okay, how does this resonate with our audience, that we have, who we have following us? Like on Instagram, you may have, or on a certain platform, not Instagram, but on different platforms, you may have grandmas following you on one and you have millennial moms following you on the other. And how do you translate that story to both of those audiences? And so those were things that I thought about and I listened to the problems. So for example, like you may think, okay, what does a book have to do with a busy mom, right? But I would take the fact that this is a busy mom who needs to, for example, teach a lesson to her child, right? And I would use the lesson portion of a book to tell the story of, this is how the book actually helps your life as a mom. You don't have to, for example, my godson asks about death a lot, right? Right now, he's 6 years old. And so how do I talk to a 6-year-old about death? Well, there's books potentially that can help you have that conversation. And it will be my job to understand, okay, which mom needs to talk about what topic, or is back to school and bullying are going to be together right now, or routines are going to be together right now. And, here's the story and here's what we push right now.
Are you searching for an empowering devotional to help you walk into your destiny? Then Brenda Sawyer's book, Encouraging Words for the Mind, Spirit, and Soul, is the publication for you. This book is a collection of devotionals and is designed to encourage and inspire your daily walk with Christ. To get your copy, go to Amazon.com. It is also available in a Spanish edition, paperback, audio, Kindle, and a CD edition. To contact Brenda Sawyer, go to brendasawyer084@gmail.com or give her a call at 215-694-9170 and get inspired.
So I know that you were mentioning the storytelling, piece of it. How does an author move from the point of saying, well, this is my story and whoever likes it, and more so moves it to, let me create something that will bring the people that's interested in my story to me?
Yeah. So this is the one thing, literally globally, it doesn't matter if I'm working in B2B or if I'm working in publishing or if I'm working in retail. One of the biggest things that someone who's close to their product struggles with is that it's not about you, right? When it comes time to actually market the product, and even actually through product development, it's about looking at an audience and understanding what they want and what they need. For example, yes, you may need to get something off your chest. If you just want to get something off your chest, okay, write a book, and don't worry about it actually being sold. But if you're in it for sales, you do have to think about that end user and why they would be interested in it. And so I would say just from there, just to always think about that end user. Like I was saying, for example, if I was like, when I market to people, to small businesses, I think about what issues small businesses deal with, not what issues Regina deals with. I think about what issues small businesses deal with. And then I create content around that. It's the same thing. So for example, if you're writing a fantasy books are more toward people who want to escape from real life right now, right? Okay. And so then how do you create that story about life is busy, you want to escape into a good book, you know, you have to look at the trends that are out there and not only stay within your small bubble. So looking at trends is very important.
Okay. So now I have a question for the authors that's actually watching now. Do you feel that you may be hesitant to moving to a big publishing company because you will lose control of, what's that word called?
Your creative control.
Say that again.
Creative control.
Yes. I wonder if authors think that. And what would you like to say?
So I was reading the comments that were on the post also. And I know that people do fear losing creative control. And to be quite honest, you may lose some of your creative control because at the end of the day, now you're in a brand, right?
Girl, and this is good. Are y'all listening to this?
And so the reality is just like me as a graphic designer, it's me as a website designer, it's me as a writer. You know, I do all these things. One of the biggest things that I have to do, and I tell new people who are going into the field of marketing, who come into the field of marketing, to remove yourself from it. Like, stop taking personal interest in this, because once again, you represent a brand now, and you don't only represent yourself. As you continue to grow as a brand, you will have more creative liberty, but it takes time to actually prove yourself, right? And so, for example, like I think about Black parents specifically. Like when you leave the house, Black parents are like, you're not going out like that, you represent me, right? So as a publishing house, and when you think about a brand, you're gonna look at the quality of the content that's coming in, the quality of the material that's coming in, and say, does this match what we actually want to output? And so sometimes there may be editing. I know there's a lot of editing that goes on to books or whatever, but they work, like really honestly, they work hand in hand with the authors a lot to say, okay, here's what we want to edit. This is why we want to edit it. You know, you do have some say in that, like, yeah or no, you know, that type of thing. But the editors do, and they do it for good reason, because they're well-versed and possibly more read than you are. So they've read more books in this category. They've read, you know, they know what the trends are once again in the market. They know what will sell. And so you want to trust them sometimes, especially if you're looking for sales. If you just, like I said, want just, you know, creative liberty, I just wanted to get my story out there, a publishing house might not be, you know, where you want to go.
Oh, don't say that, girl. So we have Jocelyn. Jocelyn says that she has a question. Jocelyn, you know what? We ain't in school, girl. You can just go ahead and ask your question. But yeah, Jocelyn, go ahead and ask your question, and I will relay that to Regina. Now, you know what, Regina, something that you brought to my attention that I did not know of. I did not know that editing was possibly changing something. I always thought editing was just looking for grammatical errors, checking for spelling, and things like that.
So yes, definitely it can change things. And I'm gonna flip a hat really quickly and use my role in Grander magazine, right? So I also publish a magazine, guys. And one of my roles in publishing it, my specific role is chief strategist. And in that role, I actually look at articles that come through and I revise them. And I ran into that same question with somebody that said, I didn't know that you would actually be changing the stuff. Yeah. Well, I changed it because we have a certain voice, we have a certain tone. Once again, once we publish it, you represent Grander magazine. The same thing with you represent HarperCollins Christian Publishing, so on and so forth. And a lot of times we write from our own individual lens. And once again, you may not necessarily know what ticks, right? So something is really, really good to you. You're like, this is good, this is good, this is good. And, you know, I can look at it and say, okay, that's way too many words, or no one cares, or your storyline is too slow, or your storyline is too fast. All those different things to help you and actually guide, you know, to create the best product that's out there. And until you have those extra eyes, you really don't know. Like, you know what's the best for you, but you don't know what's the best for your audience.
Can somebody that is represented by a major publishing company say, no, I don't want you all to do this?
If you don't want your book to be sold. I mean, if you, like, I was a little blunt with that one, but like, you're under contract now.
Need.
So you actually, you sign a contract, right?
Okay.
When you go through a major publishing company. And so are you going to breach a contract? Are you going to just say, you know what, forget it, let's not move forward? You know, that type of thing. So you would have to think about like all that when it goes through. And a lot of stuff is outlined, you know, in that contract also.
Okay. So if a person breaches contract, I guess I'm thinking of something. I guess an author can breach a contract anytime within the, I guess, parameter of that contract, or is it more realistic that a breach of contract would occur in the beginning, like with the editing side of it and things like that?
I mean, honestly, breach of contract can happen, you know, any time. If you think about like a musician or whatever, same thing is with artists. Like, they have a certain amount of books that they actually need to sell. If you don't sell this amount of books, then you're probably going to have some money to pay back, right?
Really?
If you got an advance. Yeah.
See, I guess I just never put your magicians and musicians and I guess like your celebrities in the same arena as an author. I never looked at it as like you have to sell this many books and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And it all depends on the level of the author, right? So for example, like I've said, you know, you may have known like the gymnast who's known as the GOAT, right? But like, for example, if I have Simone Biles, you know, she may have a different level that we expect than a person that we don't know the name of. And partially that's because of platform, you know, and what's also expected out of that. And honestly, I don't know like anybody's contract. Like, I don't look at the contracts. I was the marketer, right? So I didn't look at the contracts to see like how many they had to sell or anything like that. More or less, you know, I just was responsible for making sure the word was out there. But yeah, there are different quote unquote levels of authors, just depending on where you're coming from also. So for example, if Regina Patterson wrote a book right now, most people don't know who Regina Patterson is, right? And so I might only be expected to sell like 2,000 books, right? Whereas say, for example, a big name celebrity may be expected to sell 10,000. Gotcha. Right? And so that's the way that works also.
Well, it's good to hear that the publishing companies are realistic.
Yeah.
You know, I guess because I don't know, sometimes I put big businesses into the field of them not caring about that artist and only focusing on the money, you know. And I think maybe I've gotten that mentality from our singers out here, you know, that's always talking about like maintaining their music and, you know, who they are. And then we hear about the contracts going bad and like the whole Prince thing with slavery and all that other stuff. So I guess that's what I would, you know, think of. But I feel like that's really good. So Jocelyn actually has her question on the table. Right. So she asked, when I first put my book out, it was just to see if I could write a book. A small publishing company took interest and now my book is published, but I have to market my own book. But I don't actually know what to do. Girl, did you read my questions? Because that is the next question. Look, Jocelyn was like, okay, I need y'all to move this along. Right. But so Jocelyn, this is for you and for all the other authors that's watching. So Regina, what do you feel like are the top 3 things authors or soon to be authors should start doing now if they want to sell more books and grow their following?
Yeah. So first of all, point of clarification, doesn't matter if you are sign with a small publishing agency, a large publishing agency, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to market your own book.
That's so surprising.
You definitely have to market your own book because once again, 10 books launch at one time, right? I can market a set of books, for example, but it's hard for me to give you quality attention for 30 days straight or 100 days straight, for example, because if I'm giving you quality attention, then there's another author that's over here that's saying, well, where's my attention, right? And at the end of the day, every author has a sales goal. And so it's my job to also try to help us reach that sales goal, help you reach that sales goal. So your book may get, marketed twice a month, for example, or maybe 4 times a month, instead of like just this consistent, because we also have to think about the audience that's there. And the audience doesn't want to see me posting your book 17 times in one day, right? Because then they'll unfollow, and that's really what you don't want them to do.
I have a question right quick. When you said me posting your book, what does that mean? HarperCollins, like you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm HarperCollins Christian Publishing, if I'm posting your book, while I'm posting your book, I can't be posting somebody else's book, right?
Okay.
And vice versa. If I have an email, I might have 9 slots for books, right? And so I have to like consider every single piece of that. And then sometimes I might do a new release and I have 1 book that goes in email. In different times I have 9. Sometimes I might have 4. So it's just really all a balance of the marketing tactics that are out there. Now, what are the top 3 things that an author can do when in pre-launch, for example, and then in launch? So pre-launch is before your book actually is, goes live and so on and so forth. And then launch is actually when it's out there.
I have a quick question. So when we say pre-launch, do you recommend a certain amount of time before you have that book in hand? So for example, my question is, do you recommend I not tell people about my book until maybe 2 months out until I actually had the physical copy to start selling?
I would say, once again, I'm going to speak from a publisher standpoint, and then I'm going to speak from an individual standpoint, right? From a publisher standpoint, look at your contract and figure out what, when you can actually start talking about this book that's out there, right? From an individual standpoint, I would say in your pre-launch time, that say you've written 17 words on a piece of paper, but that this book is about to come out. Start doing things with those 17 words to start getting people's minds ready to thinking about you as a professional or a subject matter expert, but not always as a marketer, right? Or as an author. And so with that, I would say, for example, if you're, I want to think of like an industry or something. Say that you're a weight loss expert, right? And you're going to be writing a book about weight loss. Start early with tips about like how to lose weight, how, talk about your weight loss journey if you had one. Start to just plug some different things in. Start taking pictures of yourself, maybe before and afters, just all those kind of things. Start talking to people like, I know what the struggle is like. And that starts to create a personal brand for you. So people start to look at you as an expert, because once again, you don't just write a book and suddenly people believe, that you know what you're talking about, right? But if you take them on the journey with you, that's that storytelling part.
That's good, girl. Take it. Are y'all right? Look, I'm writing this down. I'm like, I ain't even an author.
If you take them on the journey with you, then that helps to start tell the story, right? Now, there are 2 really big things that I would say that goes along with that journey.
Are you searching for an empowering devotional to help you walk into your destiny? Then Brenda Sawyer's book, Encouraging Words for the Mind, Spirit, and Soul, is the publication for you. This book is a collection of devotionals and is designed to encourage and inspire your daily walk with Christ. To get your copy, go to Amazon.com. It is also available in a Spanish edition, paperback, audio, Kindle, and a CD edition. To contact Brenda Sawyer, go to brendasawyer084@gmail.com or give her a call at 215-694-9170 and get inspired.
Number one, make sure that both of these are together, but it's a professionalism that goes along with it. So there may need to be some things that you need to do to shift how you've been perceived online and how you're being perceived online, within your family, within your networks, everything. And that's, once again, working on that personal brand. So start to change your photo that you have as your profile picture. Think about how you wear your hair. Think about like what types of glasses you have on. How do you dress? Like if you're weight loss, how am I dressing every day? Do I actually look like I'm into fitness? Or, am I walking around with donuts every day? And so because yourself, you are going to be your strongest and your biggest asset, right? And I was just saying this today, having a conversation online. People buy from people, right? Mm-hmm. And so, they're going to say, do I actually trust that she has this expertise with this book that's out here or not? And then another thing is, if you are a writer, watch your grammar. If you are a writer, when you're publishing and posting stuff online, you have to think a little bit longer and a little bit harder when you're actually posting, because people do come and they get those receipts and they talk about it like, oh, once you actually like launch the book, oh, she launched the book, but she doesn't know the difference between there, and there, right? Yeah. And people are going to think about those things as they look at you. They're going to look at how you move through society, how you move, and so your personal brand is big. And then the final thing is your photography, right? You can't just go and, especially if you don't know how to, like your selfies, right? Like try not to take as many selfies. Go get some professional photos taken, right? You can possibly have a photographer come in, and take pictures in your element. You can go to a studio, get some headshots. Martinique has some great tools when it comes to creating designs, that everybody else, doesn't need to, or that doesn't cost anything. Take some time on every single thing that you do. So for example, I am extremely deliberate on social media, how I position myself, even if I say something that's pretty silly, mm-hmm. I'm okay with that, because my personal brand is relevant and authenticity, right? Now, say if your brand is something different, you may want to think differently about how you position yourself out there and the things that you're talking about. Like, are you being ratchet, but then you're talking about how to be, 17 ways of being a godly wife. What I mean? Like you might, those two brands may not match up together, right? And so you have to think about like all those things. And so I don't think that oftentimes it's not the tools that we use, it's knowing how to use the tools properly. That's good. And so everybody knows to go to Facebook and post something, right? Like it's all out there. And the theory comes behind a marketer versus your average Joe, because we all know the theory behind marketing, and we know how to position stuff, and we know how to tell stories without you even knowing that I'm selling you something, because I'll never put the word buy now in here. I'll never do any of that. But you will certainly, I'll be top of your mind when you say I need a designer, mm-hmm. or I need this, because I've positioned myself as that. And so, like I said, in pre-launch, you do those three things. The day your book drops, people are ready. You've primed them. You primed them like you primed the engine. You primed them to be ready for this book. And you lost 100 pounds. Everybody wants to know how you lost 100 pounds. Boom, here it is.
Now I know that's our pre-launch, and I'm mm-hmm. not, and I've been writing stuff down, so I'm not going to let you lose your train of thought. Okay. We do have a comment on the floor, and DJ, girl, I am going to screw some names up today. So DJ said, very insightful. Thank you, ladies. You're welcome, girl. Candy said, great stuff. Love the breakdown of having a publishing house behind you. So now I know that you actually mentioned some things that we do for the pre-launch, and it sounds like a lot of social media type stuff. Mm-hmm. What could we be doing that's offline during our pre-launch?
Yeah, I didn't talk about this one. Or I put it in the notes here, but speaking engagements, right? Are you actually taking time to get in front of literary audiences, right? Those are the people who buy books. Teachers buy. Now, this was where my mind was blown. Teachers, librarians, they have conferences specifically for books, right? And so make sure you're in front of educators. They need to teach their class something. And so how can we make sure that we're getting them to buy them? And think about the fact that teachers and educators and stuff, they buy books in bulk. They don't buy one book, they buy 10, or they buy 20, or they buy 100, for example, right? You want to be in front of the people who are buying like bulk books also. And also some things such as, I know people who are in the reading or literary field understand like arts, advanced reading copies, right? You may want to leak your book or give your book to a few different people, to actually get your book out there, and you can actually have them read your book in exchange for a review. And so they have to, they have to disclose that you gave it to them for free. But that's another thing that you can actually do, is have them read your books for review. Like I said, speaking engagements, set up as a vendor. People don't underestimate like the power of being a vendor. Even if you do not get sales, like this is the one thing that I have problems with people who look at vendors, they look at vendor fees, and then they're like, I'm not going to be there because I'm not going to make the money from the vendor fee. Do you know how many relationships you just made while you were being a vendor? Now your network is larger, and if you created a solid relationship with them, guess what? When you post your book, they're going to share it. So maybe you didn't make your money then, but now your network is bigger, and you can make your money later. So definitely make sure that you're networking offline is important.
Yeah. So now if we can start talking about during the launch phase.
So launch phase is, you have this book in your hand now. Seriously, take pictures of, like, once again, your journey. So like you get this delivery. I actually saw somebody, I don't know if Shanika is on here, but Shanika Carter received like her book. She just wrote a book, right? And she received a copy, she received copies of her book. And she took a picture. It was like, oh my gosh, they've arrived, XYZ. Before that, she said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's coming. It's actually happening, So she got us involved on her journey for that book. And when the books actually were delivered, she's like, oh, they're here. Now I see a picture of these books in real life. Like, this is the labor, the fruit of her labor that's actually coming to fruition. In some of those pictures, I would say don't be as afraid of them not being perfect. Right. So I talked about professional photography at one point in time. Sometimes it's good to just see the stuff in the moment, like raw moments or whatever. Like I've had, and it's out here so I can talk about this. An author literally, like if you just have happenstance moments, right? An author walked into a store and somebody was checking her out and they were like, wait, are you such and such? He said, you will not believe this. I'm ordering your book right now or whatever. Picture and posted it. And it kind of went a little bit viral, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, did this really just happen? So you just always have to be aware and ready for content when it comes out. That's the thing about where we are now, is that content is just coming out and you have to think about it all the time. Once again, promote. People have a hard time. This is the one thing that I've seen with authors. Authors have a hard time actually promoting their work, talking about themselves and talking about their work. And some of the more successful authors actually talk about their work a lot. Once again, you have to be smart in how you do it, so that you won't be annoying. But at the same time, they talk about it like, oh my gosh, they'll somebody will post a testimonial, right? And I'm so glad that I was able to help this person, XYZ. I'm so glad this book had this reach, that type of thing or whatever. At the end of the day, they're still talking about their book, right? And so making sure you do that. Once again, photography of books is good. I did a lot of graphic art posts, right? Where I would have image of a book with a quote from the book, right? Things that we hadn't made it into, which I'm totally all about. Take a piece of your book, go online, get an audio recording or whatever. Like there's this thing called, it's either, I think it's Waze. Use Waze, record on Waze, and it like creates the motion. So essentially it kind of creates a video for you, but record a portion of your book. Take like 5 lines, maybe 30 seconds of a chapter, and give people a snippet of what's there, right? Release a chapter of it. Like a lot of people release a chapter of their books, you know, so other people can like see what's actually in it. Like the cover, like we know that covers are one thing, but I see your title and I like literally know nothing about what your book consists of. You know, like your book is called Shorty Doo Wop, and it's like, is this about music? Is it about me trying to holler at Shorty? Is it you know, I don't know what your book is about, so I'm gonna pass it because I literally don't know. So once again, make sure, and this is going to go from pre to launch, make sure you know how to summarize like your book and different things like that. Kind of how I did that description really quick in our caption. Know how to summarize something really quickly so that people can know what to expect out of it. Like entice them to actually buy it. That's the reason why when I did this post, I dropped a little bit of celebrity stuff to them, because who is Regina? But if you know that Simone Biles was with me, or if my author was on The View, now as an author, you're going to be like, how do I get in front of this person, right? But outside of that, you wouldn't know that. You know, I'm just a girl from Michigan. So, yeah.
And I just want to give a shout out to Doug and Sunshine Foster. We have a lot of people that have tuned in. Thank you guys so much for watching What's the 411 for Authors. This show actually brings on professionals in the literary field so that you can learn how to be the best author possible. One of the great things about this show is that you can actually call in and ask Regina questions right now, or you can simply just type your questions. I would love for you to go ahead and share this video now. And one thing that Regina did mention was, you know, being in front of different people. That's one of the reasons why I created my other show called Authors Helping Authors, because it is a panelist made up of 7 authors. Hopefully each day I can make it a daily show, but it's going to be authors, and they are actually going to be able to talk more about themselves and drop those snippets of their books so that they're promoting, but they are also letting viewers know more about who they personally are. And so that's why I want to create different types of platforms that's affordable, that authors can be on, so that you all can let people know more about yourself, create your brand awareness, as well as grow your following. If you're interested in being on my next panelist, it is actually going to be January 13th. And the cost is $15. Shoot me an email right now. Shoot me your email address in my inbox, and I'll send that information over to you. The topic is going to be why I became an author and how it changed my life. So now, what number are we on our 3 things that you will start doing now?
I think that I probably gave more than 3 anyway. And I guess I just talked about, you know, pre-launch and during launch.
Okay.
Or whatever. And I mean, honestly, that kind of gives a quick, like, gist of what to do. Like I said, it doesn't really dive into your own storytelling more. Maybe that's something that we can dive into a little bit later. And I can even dive into more tactics that people take, you know, once again, whether it's the reality is that when it comes to marketing, right, there is nothing new under the sun. We do events, we do social media, we make sure people are in front of, you know, other people for speaking engagements. We do offline stuff. Yes, one thing that I think is important is distribution, right? This is one place that I think that people don't think about. How do I buy your book?
Okay.
So you're publishing, or you're saying, okay, my book is here, it's out here. Do I have to come to you to get it? Can I buy it online? Are you going to Amazon? Pretty much anybody can be a seller on Amazon, right? So is your book listed literally on the #1 book site in the US or in the world, you know? And so are you out there and are you actually able to purchase easily? And so those are some other things that we can talk about. There are some advanced tactics, but right there, and when I say advanced tactics, there are things like Facebook ads, you know, radio ads. Like there are all kinds of things that people don't necessarily take advantage of because they try to save their coins a lot of times, or they don't know how something will work. But I can tell you, I was running Facebook ads all the time. Like that's another way. Like if you got the budget, I'm running ads for you, right? So I might not be posting from my page, but now I can specifically target in Facebook. If you have a fantasy book, I could specifically target a fantasy audience. And so
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Nope, you're good.
So let's talk to those individuals who actually want to write a book but hasn't written one yet. What should they start doing from a marketing and building their brand awareness from that standpoint?
I think that one of the first things is to determine what you're going to be known for, right? Okay. And this starts to go into that personal brand, because personal brand and authorship goes hand in hand. So Beyonce is Beyonce. Her personal brand goes with her brand as being a musician. So pretty much anything you see about Beyonce, she's very, very cognizant of what she's doing. Beyonce is a mom, Beyonce is Jay-Z's wife, and Beyonce is an entertainer and a business owner. Those are 4 things about Beyonce, and that's the only thing we're gonna know about Beyonce, right? And so the same thing with you is start to determine what you're going to be known for. So if you're writing a book, what's that book going to be about? Once again, are you going to be known for weight loss? Okay, then what does that look like? What research do you need to do? I definitely recommend that people do research, right? Because a lot of times we have a good idea and we're not necessarily researching what's out there. So are there other people in our industry that's already told the same story, right? And if so, how do we tell it differently? Is there, what do other people in our industry look like, right? And do I want to look like them, or do I want to be different than them? And so you have to make those decisions. What's your writing style gonna be, right? Are you fiction? Are you nonfiction? Are you sarcastic? Are you, just all those different things. Like you have to think about, like, are you dry humor? What is that gonna look like, right? And you need to, once again, start to infuse that in everything that you do. So like I said, research and just figuring out like who you're gonna be. And I would say one thing is giving yourself grace as you go through this, because it takes a little while to figure out what that voice and what you're going to stand for looks like. You may not feel comfortable, being, for example, the super duper executive, right? I'm not necessarily always the executive type. And so I didn't position myself that way. This is a really, really fun but small fact. I choose my glasses literally down to that point based on what I want my brand and who I want to be known for. And so since I'm a creative, I want to be known as a creative. And so I choose glasses that fit within the industry so that when people see me from far away, they know that I'm a creative.
Interesting. And it's so funny that you said that, because I just thought about this one lady that I would see on Facebook sometimes. And I think her glasses are so ugly, but I can tell like she's very intentional about her selection of glasses. And I'm like, I just remember her face because of her glasses, so I guess that's one way to be remembered. But what about those authors that are similar to your serial entrepreneurs, that mind is just all over the place? We have and I'm speaking about me, but like, our mind is just all over the place. And from an author standpoint, you just write, whatever you feel like writing. What would you say to that person? Like, how do you I guess, how do you create what you're known for
Mhm.
when you have so many interests of what you want to write about?
Write about them all then. Like,
Say
it's
that again.
okay.
Write about a what?
Write about them all. It's okay if you have multiple interests, right? So Regina is, and you see me post about this. Regina suffers from anxiety and depression. One day I think I want to write a book about that, right? I want to write a book about Christianity and mental health, right? In my experience walking through it or whatever. Um, Regina was a dancer. Regina played basketball. Regina, she likes to crochet. I have no interest in writing a book about crocheting, probably no interest in writing a book about music, but those things are still part of who you are. And as long as you know how to hone and craft those things. So I may never want to be a musician or write a book about a musician, but it always still goes into me being a creative person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those pieces work together. I think that at the end of the day, and I would say do this assessment for yourself, is to understand who you are at your core, right? And then a lot of things start to branch from that core of who you are. So the core of who Regina is I say that my personal mission statement is providing hope for the hopeless, right? And my like vision statement or kind of word is eliminate I can't, right? And so now if Regina wants to do leadership development, she's providing hope for people who might not be able to break that glass ceiling or whatever, or people who don't want to go to work the next day. If I'm doing depression stuff, I'm providing hope for people who, are super depressed or whatever. If I'm doing something for, minorities, which is a lot of what I do, or whatever, it's because it's systematic stuff that's been holding us down. But all of it comes from the core of who I am, and then it branches out. And so I think that, or I know that a lot of what we have interest in, if this is your real interest, and that's the big piece that we have to think about, is this our real interest? Because people just jump on bandwagons to jump on bandwagons, right? But if this is your pure interest, then it will make sense for you to dive into those areas. For example, if you're a natural hair person or just a person who likes natural stuff, right? Then it'll make sense for you to write a book about, about maybe shea butter or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to sell and produce the product, and maybe talk about your trip to Niagara Falls or whatever, like all those things start to go together because they really flow out of who you are. And as long as you're authentic, that's one of the reasons why authenticity is so big to me. When you're authentic, it shows and it comes off and it makes everything a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. So, with your marketing expertise, and you may have already said this, but with your marketing expertise, let's act like, you decide to write a book.
Mhm.
What is the first thing that you would start doing?
Okay, let's see. If I decided to write a book, the first thing that I would do is open a computer and start writing. And actually, really honestly, to start taking notes about those things that are in my brain about the topic that I want to write about, right? And then I would try as much as possible to write unfiltered. So, and this is literally me as a writer in general, because part of my role as a marketer is to write for companies.
Mm-hmm.
And so you write unfiltered so that you can get the message out, right?
But we're acting like you already wrote your book.
Okay, so I thought you were saying like what's the first thing that I do? Okay,
You already wrote it. You got it in your hand,
it's in
but
my hand.
you know all of the expertise that you have as a marketer, you have it in your hand. And just like Jocelyn was saying, the small publishing company wanted her to do her own marketing.
Yeah.
What would you, Regina, the new author, now do with this book in your hand?
I'm trying to look for something. I'm looking for a prop. I would be shameless. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the right word for Martinique show. I'm just gonna say I'll be shameless AF, right? I'd be over here like, oh, here's my book.
Like people with their ring, like people that just got engaged or married.
Seriously, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I would be at the beach, like, oh, this is a good read. It just happens to be mine. Like literally any way that I can prop anything, I would be sitting there propping. Like you guys will hear about my book so much, like it doesn't even matter. And as a marketer, that's a human. So I'm going to take this professional piece out of it really quickly, right?
Okay.
As a human, I would literally probably put in my post, I'm about to flood your timelines because I'm happy, right?
Okay.
And that way I'm giving you a warning. You're about to be here for the next 30 to 70 days. And just get used to it and just get ready for it, right? And then, like I said, I would just keep promoting. And like literally, I would carry that book everywhere that I would go. I would carry a couple of copies just in case, somebody wants to talk about it or wants to buy it. Any conversation that is relevant to, you know what, I wrote a book about that. Let's talk about that. Or I might not say I wrote a book. You know what, I have a big interest in that. In some type of way, I would merge that conversation into the fact that I actually wrote a book, right? There's not a lot of places. So I'm going to go back to Regina as a marketer, launching a marketing company, because it's literally the same exact thing. There's not a lot of places that I'm going to go that you're not going to hear about what I do, right? So if I bought a book, you're hearing about that book. I'm going to have that book. Like I said, it might be total on the top of my head, that's something I might do. And depending on the audience that it's relevant to, I would do emails to, like I said, teachers or whatever who may actually work within that field, who may be able to benefit from that. If it's a Christian book, I may start to email pastors or whatever, or youth leaders about that book, different things. So another thing that, and this is not it's a trade secret, but it's not a business secret, teaching guides, right? Teachers teach out of books, right? And so what happens is, can you help them with their curriculum by creating questions and different things like that? Like if anybody has taught Bible study or anything like that, it's a little bit easier sometimes when somebody already has the questions created for you, right? And so the same thing, you write a book, write some questions that go along with that book and start to make it into a discussion guide. Also, give the questions away for free if they buy the book. Do you have bookmarks that can be created? I am not necessarily the cheapest person, so I would get merchandise and I would do giveaways. Like, you're about to get this giveaway for this book as long as you like my page, XYZ. I might just give the book away, just because. Other things that this is really, really funny, but a tactic that I've used in the past is I would give you a book in exchange for a photo, right? And so I want your picture holding my book because it's going to make my book more popular. Even though I gave it for free to you, if I give away 20 of them, but it looks like people are, fear of missing out. They don't want to miss out on this book. So you got it for free. And now I have marketing material for myself. And so those are some of the things that I would do personally. Like I said, it'll be like Girl Scout cookies. Mom, take like 5 of these to work, and all that kind of stuff, like shameless.
That's good. So I know initially the question that I asked you was just from that initial post, who, for authors that, wanted their writings to get into major publishing companies. Why do you think that the things that we have discussed are necessary to implement, even if you don't want to get into a major publishing company?
At the end of the day, we have the same goal, right? And that's to sell books. And so, I was even saying, when I responded to a different string thread on that post, is that honestly, if you're a small author, I would probably say don't even go to a publishing house, because of the fact that you're still going to have to do the work, and you're still going to have to, all those types of things. Like you said, you still have the creative liberty when you continue to own your book and everything. It's important to go through all of those steps, because the one most important thing is you need to let people know that you actually wrote something, right? And that you're proud of it, and that you think that it will help somebody else's life. Because if you don't believe in it, then who else is actually going to believe in it and take it from you, right? And like I said, once again, people buy from people. And when you are a small business, you, like I said before, you and your product are synonymous. And so if somebody wants to, just kind of say support you, like a lot of times people say, well, my family doesn't support me. Well, how have you branded yourself in front of your family? Right? Are you, one person online and one person as an author, but in your family circle, like you don't have life together. So how are you writing a book about having life together? In your family circle, you don't have your life together. Like those are things that actually make a big difference, and also because once people believe in you, and I'll shout her name out, Shannon Cohen, she wrote a book called Tough Skin, Soft Heart, right? And Shannon, I know that she had a publisher for her book, but Shannon also did a lot of good stuff. Like she had a launch team for her book. She had people that she was giving her book. I don't know if I know that she gave her book away to, certain people, but she was intentional about like the people that she gave her book to. That's another big thing about giveaways. Be intentional. Like don't just give them away to everybody. Be intentional about who you're giving them to and the return from it. But Shannon did a great job in launching her book. I'm like one of the people who actually bought Shannon's book. Like she didn't give it to me for free. I went online, I purchased, Tough Skin, Soft Heart. And it's because of the fact that she was promoting it and she also lived it, right? And so Shannon is also a minister at my church, right? Shannon is very authentic and she's transparent in her role. Like she leads our prayer sessions, right? She's authentic in those moments, like we know, what God will do, but she'll also tell you about what's going on in her life. So if she's writing a book about tough skin, soft heart, I know her journey, right? And so you have to get people to actually believe you. There's also a big thing when it comes to transactions and conversion. First, people have to know about you. Then they have to trust you. Then they have to like you. And then they'll actually buy it.
Okay, you said no, trust,
like, and then they'll buy. And if somebody has never heard of you, there's no way you're getting through all 4 of those steps in one post or even in one encounter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we're going to J.K. Rowling because she on Harry Potter 17, right? And so, and I'm sure it took a while for the first Harry Potter to take off, right? But once she was trusted and known, then, then the time came. But really, honestly, it takes a while. And that's one of our misconceptions in general is that you're gonna launch something and people are gonna buy it immediately. Yeah. Lie. That is not gonna happen. Give yourself a good 2 to 3 months to actually let stuff flow. And really, honestly, the more expensive it is, the longer it's gonna take for somebody to actually purchase it.
So, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And when you said that, what was you about to say? Because it looked like you.
Oh no, I don't remember.
But when you just said that, I was thinking about when you said one post is not going to get you through all of those levels. So I was thinking about the Facebook ads. So I tried one of the Facebook ads, and I'm looking like, why people aren't doing X, Y, and Z? I'm like, Martinique, you only did one post for like $5. And it was only for like 3 days. So I know this one young lady that she's always popping up. Her sponsor, like her Facebook posts are always popping up on my timeline. And I'm like, she just really put some money towards those Facebook posts. And I see what you're saying now, because I think with me, just in general, a lot of times, like I'll see that it's sponsored and I just scroll right through it. And then maybe after the 12th time, I might say, okay, let me see how many likes this person had, how many comments. I haven't even taken this video off of mute yet, So it does.
90% of videos are watched on mute online.
So it's like so many times is needed for you to break through, for that individual even to take 3 seconds just to look at what you have to say. So we have Jocelyn. She asks, what about t-shirts, journals, and etc.? When you were talking about, putting your brand on something other than, whatever product you are selling.
Mm-hmm.
For example, for authors' books, you
Yep.
know, Jocelyn, I guess my question to you, Jocelyn, would be like, are you saying that you would put, like, maybe if your book is called How to Cut a Squash 10 Ways, are you saying like put the name of that title on the cover of a journal, or put like ask me, like maybe on your t-shirt you're saying ask me how do I cut a squash in 10 different ways? Are you what what do you think she's asking? Like,
I said, or is she asking like also about selling journals to go along with it, or selling t-shirts to go along with it? I'm not sure.
okay, answer our question, Jocelyn, if you still watching. Um, and we might have to just come back to it or respond to it, you know, by typing out the response. But Regina, I truly do appreciate you for
Thank you.
just sharing all of your knowledge. You all, I thank you all so much for tuning in to What's the 411 for Authors. Regina is going to be back with us next month, and we are going to dig a little bit deeper because our next episode will be, should we be in the launch stage like for our next episode, you
I
think?
think that we might want to talk about some specific tactics,
Tactics, okay.
and how to use each of those differently. So we kind of like went really high level on these are the things that you can do. Now, how do you use photography for your advantage? Or how do you prop a photo, for example? Like we do lots of propping, right? So how do you prop a photo to get somebody's attention? Facebook ads. What do you need to know about them? Like there's things that Facebook doesn't allow, but marketers know, but the average person doesn't know, like what Facebook doesn't allow through a Facebook ad. How do you target your appropriate audience? So those are things that we can talk about. Even like how do we ideas for continuing to promote without being annoying. So how do you
Okay.
make those? How do you maneuver and navigate that?
Okay. Okay, that's good. And you guys, since you do know a little bit more about what we'll be talking about on the next episode, make sure you go ahead and start sending your questions to me, and then I can write those up and have those questions prepared for Regina. You can send it to me through my inbox. Another thing that we would still love for you to do is go ahead and share this video now, so that more people will learn about Regina and just her expertise, as well as this show, and they can learn from this episode right now. They don't have to wait till later. They can watch it on the replay. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. All of my social media handles are listed in the description box. Another thing, I know that Regina talked a lot about um, how she has helped individuals in the marketing um, world. Well, just as an author, and then how she has helped them, you know, with their digital presence, their online presence. You might be saying to yourself, man, Regina is good. I want to use her. I want to use her service. You can. So all of Regina's contact information is listed in the description box. I listed her Facebook page as well as um, her website. So with her Facebook page called Melanin Marketing, can you tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Melanin and Marketing is a sub brand of RRP Marketing, and it's melanin because it's for people of color, and it's marketing. It initially started off as just marketing tips, but we really focus on entrepreneurship, right? And bossing up like a business, or like you said, your authorship or whatever. On that page, and that's where I try to share practical tips for free. I do videos that come out, and I just start to share some of that theory that goes behind a lot of this stuff. Now, I will say that it takes an investment of your time, but I'm definitely there. I'm definitely sharing. I share a lot of the research that I read to become a better marketer, with you and with audiences also in there. And actually, I don't share that as much on a more external platform. Melanin marketing is really focused on the really micro business who's just really trying to get out there and launch. So like I was saying before, there's some things that I won't talk about in that group, such I'm not going to talk a lot about advanced analytics. I'm not going to talk a lot about artificial intelligence and augmented reality. Like those are a lot of tactics that are also used in the marketing world, but I'm not going to talk about that yet because we want to get you at that foundational level before you even start to go higher and deeper into some of those things.
And you know, another reason why I created this show is because I know a lot of people are in my same situation, my boat. You have these great ideas, you have these great stories within yourself, but your budget is not as big as you would like it to be for the marketing. Because I have become an entrepreneur, I have learned that marketing is so key. We can have all of these great ideas, but if we do not have the right resources to let the world know about this great idea we have just created, then not to say is it really worth it, but just think about so much, how many more people it could reach if we learn the right tools. Yeah. And the reason why I really wanted Regina on this show, and because sometimes I know that I go into listening to a video and I feel like they're talking over my head and they're already on like video 10. So I'm like, man, that means I got to catch up. I still need to watch video 1 through 9 to even understand what video 10 was talking about. So that's why I wanted to have this first video with Regina breaking down just the basics and where can we start from now without having an agent, meaning having that money to hire an agent. So like I said, I know some of you guys may be in my situation where you have these great ideas, but not a lot of money. So with this show, Regina has given us tools that does not cost a lot of money, and we can start implementing them now. With the photography piece of it, I know I actually had my friend take my picture. Now, what you can do is, if you just have a camera, I'm not talking about your phone camera, but if you have a camera, look online and find out how you can change the resolution on your camera, and then have one of your friends get a nice background, have one of your friends take your picture. I'm telling you, it makes all the difference. Because I was like, I don't have no money for no professional picture. But I'm just so thankful for you, Regina, because Regina is full of information and knowledge, and she is always willing to give that knowledge. But like I said, if you would like to utilize Regina's services, make sure you reach out to Regina and go to her website. You can find out more about her education background. She has over 15 years in the marketing field. And you can also just contact her and learn more about how she can actually help you with your brand. She does editing. I'm telling you, y'all, she does a lot of stuff.
So Marcy, can I say one small thing before we leave?
You sure can.
Okay. So one of the things that I know, and I want to make sure that we talk about, even if it's just in this moment with marketing, is that a lot of people confuse or isolate marketing to marketing communications or advertising and branding, right? Marketing traditionally has 4 Ps, and that's one of the big things that go along with it. So when we're talking about the book creation or whatever, it's product. So do you have a product that people actually want to buy? It's place. Where is your product actually distributed? That's why I talk about this, because you can do a lot of promotions and then people don't know where to buy it, right? Or they don't have easy access to it. So there's price, there's product. Place. Now I'm mixing my words up. There's place, there is product, there's price. Price plays a role in whether or not people actually purchase something. So you can have the best thing since sliced bread, everybody knows about it, so on and so forth. and they get to that and they see that sticker and they're like, nope, I'm good, right? And so you can have a great product and people are still like, yeah, no, I'm not spending that amount of money on it. And there are strategies behind pricing also, right, that goes along with that. And then there is promotion. And a lot of times we get focused on this promotion piece and we expect promotion to solve our problems when sometimes the problem it doesn't lie in whether or not people know about it. It may lie in whether or not it's even the right product that somebody wants, whether or not they can get it easily, or whether or not there is a price barrier. And so we have to take all of that into consideration when we think about marketing. And that's when I say I focus on like a really strategic lens of things. I'll focus on all of those pieces so I can help you possibly find out where that breakdown is. Because like you were saying, you did a Facebook ad. Maybe the ad was effective, but then like when it got to like the landing page or whatever, the landing page wasn't effective or the price was off, you know? And so you have to figure out where that breakdown is sometimes too.
That's good. That's good. On that note, guys, this has been a fabulous show. I'm so excited you all have tuned into the show. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as like my page all about authors and their books on Facebook, so that you will always just be notified of the new shows that I have. For the authors that's watching, make sure that you inbox me. Let me know if you would like to be on our next panelist. And the topic is why I became an author and how it has changed my life. Make sure you go ahead and send me your email address and just put on there AHA, so I know specifically what show you are referring to, which is Authors Helping Authors. I hope you guys have a great night, and we will talk to you all later. You can still type your questions in, and I will relay those to Regina as well. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye. Bye.